Welcome to Shepherd's Coffee Talk. It's one of my special shows. It's about food with Paula Roy.
Well, actually, Marlene messaged me and she said, let's get Paula in to talk about charcuterie boards. I thought, what a great idea. You know, for the fall, for sitting around on a Friday or Saturday night after a long week.
I love charcuterie
What
boards.
do you love about it?
Well, I guess it's a variety. I always, when we have people over, sometimes I love to have like an appetizer party where everybody brings a little something, and then you get to try new things, and you don't have to have a lot of something.
Right.
Or you have a lot of what you really like and a little bit of what you don't like. I just like the variety, but it's the big rage.
Well, and for good reason. Look how beautiful this is. I mean, if someone walks into your home and you've got this already laid out on the peninsula in your kitchen or on your coffee table, down on your table, it says welcome and feed. Like right away,
Yes.
it's very comforting.
Paula Roy is the recipe developer, passionate cook. Constantly Cooking is her website, and so she is constantly coming up with great ideas. And today we're going to talk about what to put on your charcuterie board, and also how to enhance the elements of meat and cheese, I guess, that you would use, or fish and cheese if you're so inclined, with some of her recipes. So where would you like to begin?
Well, quick history lesson. Originally, charcuterie boards were just meat. I mean, charcuterie means cured meat, right? So that was the beginning, but then everyone realized that cheese goes so well with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, you probably want a bread product if you're doing a cheese product, that kind of thing. And the way that I look at it now is it should be a little flavor party. I mean, it's a visual party, so it should be a flavor party. So for me, it's all about contrast. You want contrasting tastes. You want salty, sour, sweet. You also want contrasting textures, so you want soft and crunchy. You want also contrasting visuals. So you notice that I've got things at different heights here, and that's very intentional, so that your eye, it's like a little bit of a fun roller coaster. Your eye goes up and down with the board. It's very subtle, and your guest may not appreciate it in their brain, but their soul is going to feel that. Like, this is an adventure. So it's really fun to do that. So a great example is the prosciutto. Instead of laying the slices out flat, which quite frankly, they're very hard to handle that way.
Yes, they
and get
are.
apart. Just take a second to roll them up. And if you do enough of them, you could even stand them up to make this little cylinder, which is kind of fun. And if I were going to put ham on this board, for example, instead of slices, I would get a thick piece of ham and cube it. And so then you have cubes of ham. So again, it's just another visual, textural kind of thing.
Of course, we're having coffee in our cups today, but you might also want to have like a wine tasting with a charcuterie board.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I love is what it's served on. You know, piece of wood. I have a few of these types of boards at home, different shapes, different sort of grains of wood, and I really like that organic feeling to it too. And I love how you put flowers out.
Well, pieces of slate are also great, and believe it or not, I have seen, they're thin, so I don't know how sturdy they are, but real slate tiles at dollar stores. Amazingly. And the meat and the cheese looks beautiful on slate. So but you know what, don't let that stop you. If you don't have it, just use a big platter. The platter you put your turkey on, it doesn't really matter. And then you mentioned the flowers. I just plucked those this morning from my garden. The frost hasn't got them yet. And also the leaves. Those happen to be nasturtiums, so the green leaves. So you could go to a florist and ask for leaves, but make sure that they understand you're putting food on them. So they haven't been treated with chemicals. But it's just a really pretty way, again, to add some more visual appeal to your board.
So now I noticed you've got some little condiments here, and then that's an important element too.
It
you
is
said
for me, exactly, because the meats tend to all be in the kind of the salty family. Some might be a bit spicy, like this salami, and then you want to get the crunch, which you're not going to get from your meat or your cheese. So first up, we've got these maple and fleur-de-sel roasted almonds. That's a real standby for me. It's one of the Christmas gifts that my friends and family ask for the most often, and it's a really great textural element. And it just pairs really well with the meat and the cheese and so on.
Delicious.
And then I've made a homemade grainy mustard. So it's got maple syrup and some rye whiskey in it. And you've got, I meant to put a little dollop on your plate, so I'll give you one. So that you can try it and just see what you think about this flavor. There's lots of great store-bought mustards.
You put your meat with that?
Sure. Yeah. So you've got a little bit of meat there as well, and that makes another really, really good gift. And super simple. People think, oh, it's homemade mustard. It's going to be so hard. It's not hard. It's just not hard.
Let Paula help you.
Yeah.
Paula, it's easy for you. But
well, if anyone goes to my website, Constantly Cooking, you'll see that the recipes really are easy to follow, and that's my goal. So then following along there, we've got carrot jam, which you have on your plate. That's actually carrot cake jam. So I took all the flavors of carrot cake, all the spices that you would associate, the cinnamon, the cloves, and so on, and the vanilla, cooked it down with some carrots and lemon juice, and made this beautiful condiment. My husband loves it on toast, but
I can see why.
it's just a really neat, different kind of thing that people don't expect. And if you have a hand at, calligraphy, you could make nice labels for your board. I do them on the computer because that's just not my thing.
Aww.
I was going to say not my jam, but that was a terrible pun. But
well,
then
people need to know what they're eating,
That's
right?
right.
Because there's so many people that have
Sensitivities.
Yeah, so
yeah.
as an example, these happen to be gluten-free rice crackers, and I always make sure I've got 1 or 2 gluten-free
Yeah.
delivery vehicles,
Yeah.
I call them. And you don't want to make it a big deal for someone to have to ask, or is this
Yes.
or isn't this, and so
Yes.
on. So just put them out there, label them, it's great. This bright pop of color here is curried, crunchy cauliflower pickles.
Ooh, so that qualifies as your vegetable?
That's right, one vegetable, and you've got a little piece
Okay.
hiding there. And again, super fast. The cauliflower really isn't cooked, but it's just infused with the brine.
There's a little bit of, is it curry and
Turmeric
Yeah,
or
curry,
something?
yeah, turmeric and curry powder.
Whoa.
So it's just got this really great, again, that pop of flavor. It's
Fresh.
all about those popping moments in your
Yes,
mouth.
yes,
And
yes.
you want contrasts of meat, as we talked about. So prosciutto, ham, salami, you don't have to go too crazy. You tend to go with a cured meat because they are more temperature stable. If you're going for something like a roast beef, it's not going to sit out for
Right.
a long time as well.
Right.
I always like a soft cheese, and these washed rind ones are just a bit more interesting than a brie. They've got some color to them and so on, and you have a
But
piece
you
of
don't,
them on your
I
plate.
guess you don't want a cheese that's too strong, like would a Cambanzola work?
Be fine, sure,
Okay.
absolutely. A lot of people like to put what they call a baby blue, and that's a Camazzola. So blue cheese that isn't make your eyes
Powerful.
water strong, but it's got
Yeah.
that little bit of flavor. And then we've got these artisan crisps that I just love, and they're again a great vehicle. And then I always like to do a cheddar. Some people like a smoked cheddar.
Yeah.
Then we've got, this is a cranberry and onion chutney, and it's a lot like making cranberry sauce, but first you caramelize some onions and then finish it off, and it's got balsamic in it. So it's another really interesting flavor element, especially with your milder flavored cheeses. It gives them just a little more oomph, and that's what I really like about
And I
that.
like the breadsticks, because they look pretty.
Well,
and-
exactly. You're going for
Easy to
height again. And so some people, and I say, you mentioned talking about your son and how can he fill up on a charcuterie board because he's a strapping young lad. I love watching my kids, my son especially, will take a breadstick and wrap 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 pieces of prosciutto around it and then
Oh,
eat
that's
it
a
like
good
a, corn dog or something.
Innovate. Yeah.
So that's again for height. And I neglected to mention this is candied bacon, and that's a really fun addition. I didn't do a charcuterie board for my husband's milestone birthday recently. I did a charcuterie table. So the whole dining room table was all
Really?
charcuterie. It was so much fun.
Wow.
How
And the
many
ba-
people did you have?
I don't know, about 40.
And that's what they ate?
That was the main
The
thing.
main
and
thing.
it was great.
Wow.
Beautiful idea.
Yeah, for an after dinner hour party, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the candied bacon disappeared. I don't know, I turned my back and I looked back and it was gone. And I could see, people wiping their mouths. It was really good. So that's something that I, again, always will include. So it's important to know all of these things are make ahead. You can make them days or even weeks ahead of time. So you
Okay.
don't have to stress. So it makes it a really easy party.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And I mentioned earlier, one thing that I love to do is have a collaborative charcuterie party. And so I'll assign people condiment, meat, cheese, vegetable, whatever. You might get duplicates, you might not, but everybody shows up, and I've got the boards and platters and so on ready. And then we collaboratively assemble this beautiful board.
Fun.
Well, that's fun.
And it's
yeah.
always funny because half the people are picture takers, and it's like, don't
Oh,
touch
yeah,
it.
Instagram moment, Instagram moment.
And then the other half of the people are standing there starving,
Yeah,
waiting. But it's just a really fun way, and everybody brings fresh ideas
Oh, yeah, I
to
love
the
that
table
idea.
that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice with family, like on Christmas Eve?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody brings
Absolutely.
a little something. It's not all on one person's, task to do,
Exactly,
and then
yeah.
everybody can enjoy putting it together and have fun.
I
That's
think
right.
I have
Put
my
the
menu
music on
planned
and-
for
yeah.
Christmas
Yeah,
Eve now.
I love
this
that idea.
makes it easier, and as you say, you can sort of plan a little bit ahead, make the condiments well ahead. It's less stress and
But my question is there enough food? Is this gonna, I know as you get older you want less, I can understand. I could fill up on this easily. But is it enough? Or
Well, first off, you have to save room for a drink or two, right? So
Okay.
that's important, but all kidding aside, it's not traditional, but very complimentary would be a vegetable platter with some hummus and maybe a creamy dip, that kind of thing, a fruit tray. I mean, I've got a few grapes on here, but a full fruit tray would blend beautifully, again, with flavors, some strawberries, some melon. So there's complimentary things you could add in there. You could have more robust bread type products, so you could have baguette there as well. And it's amazing. If you think about someone coming back to the board, I'll say 8 or 9 times over the course of a couple hours, picture that food on a dinner plate.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have a very full dinner plate.
I think
so
that's-
it's a mental game.
Yeah, it's a mental game.
But you really
Yeah.
can fill up.
Yeah.
and then
Quite
probably
well.
have a platter of like little sweets or something, like
Sure.
little, cookies or whatever too, just a little.
And
at
you
the
can
end
tell
of the
Robert about Paula's son's trick.
like
of
that idea,
Taking the
prosciutto
breadstick
one.
and wrapping a bunch of prosciutto
Yeah.
around it,
Oh, wow,
like
this
a
is
lolly,
great.
a prosciutto lolly, they'd call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, all of these recipes, if you're interested, will be on Paula's website. We'll have the link at the top of the post. And we thank you again, and we'll
Oh,
hope
yeah.
to
It's so
invite
great
you back
having you here, Paula.
Great to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Christmas, so we
Sorry
can
you
talk
don't get
about
to try it, but
But you can try it at home.
yes,
Enjoy. Anyway, have a great day.
thank you.